this megatos to a future made brighter by Lightmatter. Goodbye. The CEO of Lightmatter Technologies would like to welcome bankers, investors, and all of those who have doubted him to this launch event. To those of you on the public tour, hello. Now entering the stage, Virgil. He needs no introduction. He is the beating heart of this mountain, the greater of two minds, and the man who sacrificed his leg for what it knows. Unbelievable. There's more of you. Were you a part of the public tour? If so, I have just evacuated your tour guide. Don't panic. Now, your inability to follow evacuation orders is truly astounding, but I need you to pay attention. First off, walk through that door. Excellent. You have already exceeded my expectations. Wait, it's dark in there. You might trip. Let me light your path. The door requires 2 people to reopen. Proceed to my security manager's office. Now, I presume you know how buttons work. Impressive. If you continue like this, I might just hire you to mop the floor. Now scurry along, and you will reach the elevator to the exit. It's simple. I know it's difficult not to stare at the scientific wonder that is Lightmatter, but the launch event is over. Don't worry, my facility is sturdy. Get to the elevator. Excellent. The elevator will take you directly to our outpost. When you get there, journalists will immediately try to put words in your mouth. But stand strong and tell them that Virgil, the CEO of Lightmatter Technologies, saved your life and that the side effects are under control. Goodbye. You hear me? It's even on. Shadows are dangerous. Stay away from the shadow. Oh, let me fix this. no longer an option, neither for you nor for me. This was a monumental failure on behalf of my elevator technicians. But don't worry, you will reach the exit of this facility and they will reach the end of their employment. An escape plan is in development. Until then, keep in mind that the shadows can kill you. Think the floor is lava, just with shadows that absorb organic material. Everything around you might look bizarre through your eyes, but it all has a purpose. In this room, we wash crystals with over 1,000 bars of pressure. If it helps your comprehension, you may call it the power shower. If you think moving a platform is fascinating, you'll faint when you see what else I built. All right now, here's the plan. The elevator dropped you to the center of the mountain, and the only functioning exit is at the top. Follow the green exit signs and you'll get there. Just do exactly as I say and you will be fine. If you want to complain about that, well, I can't hear you. Just realize how fortunate you are. You've extended your tour through Lightmatter technologies. Excellent. Do you see that lamp down there? Pick it up. Handy, isn't it? Focus groups called it heavy and clunky. I call them weak and stupid. In the hands of a capable miner, that lamp turns into one of their finest tools. Listen, I know that the shadows might look intimidating to you, A deep black obsidian-like tar that will devour you whole. But they're just simple gravity-bound anomalies, a temporary side effect of light matter. You see, all of mankind's greatest breakthroughs had their kinks, and these kinks are manageable. If they weren't, I wouldn't be here in the facility fixing them. That I was the first to wander through these caves? Although I came here with my former partner, Arthur, I was the one who discovered the photon crystals. You might have heard that the side effects of those same crystals cost me my leg. Wrong. I conquered a mountain for the first photon crystal. Sheer persistence and willpower cost me my leg. A small price to pay for light matter. Since you missed your tour, that giant beam of light you see is light matter. The source of that beam we call the core, a collection of massive photon crystals. It is so powerful that it shakes the very foundation of this facility. I still remember my first successful prototype. The beam seemed so solid, it looked like light had become matter. I built on that, and now look at it. A sustainable and renewable energy source that will save humanity. Yes, the launch today failed, but these shadows will not deter me from bringing light matter into fruition. Now that I think about it, where were you during the launch event? All guests were taken directly to the tram, so you must have snuck away somehow. What exactly were you doing? Wait, are you a health and safety inspector? The irony that you didn't notice the blaring sounds and flashing lights. That's a problem with safety procedures. They can never be idiot-proof. safety, Inspector. Let me do your job for you. You see that giant piece of metal moving back and forth? It's a top-grade mineral decontaminator. I installed it as soon as I heard that my employees were losing their hair. Once installed, cellular degradation fell by 37%. For your information, saving humanity puts a lot of stress on my workers, as do my 12-hour workdays. Point is, there are many reasons for hair loss. Excellent. Our time together is almost at an end. There's a bridge right around the corner. Cross it, and you will be on a direct path to sunshine. And my security manager, James. Oh yes, he was evacuated as well. I wouldn't dare risk his health and safety. Careful with my lamps. At Lightmatter Technologies, we treat our inanimate objects with respect, not like those monsters of Aperture Science. If you're wondering why I built a lab inside a mountain, resilience. It was here before me, and it will be here after me. Just look around you, Inspector. We had an unprecedented event, and this living, breathing monument to science still stands. Ah, you found a solution. Excellent. You leave, and I'll be able to focus. The bridge collapsed. That's why I don't trust you, inspectors. I built it up to code, to what was legally required of me, yet what good did it do? Let me figure out your options. I really don't have time for this. A new door will be open soon enough. A moment, Inspector. Yes, James, this is Virgil. I need... James, calm down, James. Just punch something. We will find your cat later. Now focus. I need details for a new evacuation route. The inspector didn't make it across the bridge. It collapsed. Must have pushed the button too hard. Yes. I thought so. Plan out the rest of the route and do it faster than last time. Goodbye, James. Inspector, the door is open. Run along now. right, Inspector. Your failure to push a button has resulted in a change of plans. You will be taking a detour to another elevator. Now, show some gratitude for the amount of effort I put into keeping you alive. Keep an eye out for James's cat, Lux. James wants to know that he's safe. You see, James can't function properly when he's sad. Much like you, these machines work at a painfully slow pace. The difference is that they are being productive. Listen, I have a limited amount of patience, and this detour is exhausting it. Lightmatter demands my attention. So, you'll be on your own for a little while. Just know that I admire your persistence. With everything you've been through, I would hate my life if I were you. Now, you'll survive as long as you stick to the green exit signs. Good luck.
My name is Ellen, and things here are... Okay. First off, I am really proud to be an engineer at Lightmatter Technologies. But I don't know what the truth is anymore. People are getting sick left and right. Tape recorders have been banned, and now, until launch, all outside communication is prohibited. Not only that, leave permits are invalid. Virgil and Arthur, the pioneers of science. I can't believe they're doing this. They've been fighting each other for weeks, so I knew something was wrong, but I never thought they would lock down the facility like this. I guess whoever is listening to these tapes, if you're in the facility, please keep them hidden, just until we can get them away from here. To someone who can help spread the truth when I find it. don't know what to do. I was sleeping in the lab when suddenly I felt something on my head. I opened my eyes and Arthur is standing over me in the dark, holding a vial. Before I could do or say anything, he just said, "It's for the better." What? How exactly is pouring liquids into my hair for the better? I wish I'd said that. But there he was. Arthur, the CTO of Lightmatter Technologies. The man I spent years working with. The man I am helping to save the world. I could barely recognize him. I can't stop Arthur. Nobody believes a man of that status would poison people like that. And apparently, losing my hair at the age of 31 isn't proof enough. I need to take more drastic measures.
to get all the way over there. Well, impressive. You realized how much of a waste of time you are and took a shortcut. You're much closer to the elevator, so well done, Inspector. Now, you're not supposed to be in that part of the facility, but never mind. You will be taking what you see here to your grave. Don't worry, it's just a standard non-disclosure agreement. Inspector, I admire competence, and you've shown some. So let me tell you a bit about my technology. The panels that you've lit up to power machinery, those are the photon power cells. You see, my former partner, Arthur, designed this part of the facility. And when he did, he used primitive copper for wiring. Once I increased the voltage, it melted. So I bypassed that idiocy by retrofitting doors, lifts, etc. with photon power cells. Those power cells function as both energy converters and switches. Clever, but you'll realize their true purpose once Lightmatter makes its way into the world. You know, when Arthur's wiring overloaded, I was fortunate enough to get stuck in an elevator with my engineers. But I make the most out of bad situations, so we had an hour-long conversation, much like this one. I talked and they listened. Inspector, let me enlighten you. To invent, you need a good imagination and a pile of junk. Conventional solar cells were a pile of junk until I got my hands on them. I improved upon them using photon crystals and created photoelectric cells that were actually efficient. Of course, when I succeeded, a cabal of my competitors, journalists, and windmill enthusiasts formed to try to undermine my achievements. Why did I expect any different? Competing with me is like an ant competing with a boot. Overwhelming. Impressive. You're the smartest inspector I've ever met. A low bar, sure, but a bar nonetheless. Oh, hold on. What an interesting phone call. My security manager, James, just got a hold of our government contacts. They told him that we were not scheduled for an inspection today. And since you are not on the guest list, James doesn't know who you are. But I do. It's obvious. You're a journalist. It fits. Your kind always go to such extremes for your stories. I would like to remind you that freedom of the press does not extend to trespassing. We'll have a talk once you get out. A journalist. I've had my fair share of experience with your kind, always trying to make me show a sign of weakness. So let this be a reminder. I have none. For the record, I really enjoy seeing a door being slammed in your face. Since you're a journalist, you must be here to investigate the merits of Arthur's accusations. Yes, I read the papers. I like to keep myself misinformed. Do you know what makes his lies so convincing? The small amount of truth he uses. Yes, Lightmatter caused hair loss and other minor side effects. But I solved all of that with the mineral decontaminators. What did Arthur do? He poisoned our employees, exaggerating those side effects in his crusade to destroy me. Jealousy can be so ugly. It can be so all-consuming. It consumed our partnership, it consumed our friendship, and it almost destroyed this entire facility. Journalist, Arthur's poison project severely damaged morale. My employees weren't just losing their hair, they were losing their identity. So besides installing the decontaminators, I ordered a container full of wigs. It was a success. Everyone started using them, except me. I don't try to cover up facts. So, journalist, you will soon be out of here. But before you write a hit piece about the quote-unquote deadly shadows of Lightmatter, let's get the facts straight. The shadow anomalies are not spreading beyond the facility. They are local to the core. Also, we have had countless test runs on the core before today, and there have never been any signs of shadow anomalies. There is a simple explanation for that. You see, my engineers desperately strive to impress me. So during the launch event, one of them turned up the core's energy output. Understand, for every 100 megawatts I spend powering the core, I normally receive 107 megawatts. And today, that number increased to 111 megawatts. But I take full responsibility for my engineer's wrongdoing. I'm finding a solution, and he's finding a new career. Actually, he's probably dead. When you write about these shadows, be mindful of the words you choose. What changes nuclear power from a weapon to an energy source? Words. Think about that, journalist. journalist, you must admit that the shadow anomalies are fascinating. Think about the applications: organic waste disposal, mold removal, pest control. The possibilities are endless. Walking sideways with a lamp. Clever solution for a journalist. There we are, the entrance to research and development. I know that you're eager to explore more of Lightmatter technologies, but you overstayed your welcome long ago. If it's any consolation, I'll let you write an exclusive about me. How does that sound? Just remember that non-disclosure agreement we discussed. Also, you are trespassing, and I have a legion of lawyers. So, journalist, our time together is sadly at an end. The elevator is just upstairs. Listen, I know that I mentioned lawyers earlier. It's just that a man like me needs to be careful. I understand the need for journalists. People in power need to be held accountable. I'm no exception. I just hope you're fair when you write about me. Journalist, here's something for your exclusive. As you can probably imagine, I was a smart child. I built a calculator when I was 7 and made it solar-powered when I was 8. But the most I could ever get from my father was a half-hearted grunt of acknowledgement. Some would call that neglect. I call that motivation. These platforms, they move fast, don't they? I have James race them. It forces my security manager to be in top physical condition. You see, I nurture the talents of my employees. Listen, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but without me, you would be lost forever. So here's an idea for your front page. Leader shows me the light in a moment of darkness. Write it down. thought of something. When you write that exclusive, make sure to mention James. He'll be very pleased about that. Standing in my shadow isn't always easy. Well done, journalist. When you meet James, ask him to check the time and tell him that I won. See you on the other side. It's completely out of control! Listen, I'll think of something. Start heading back. I'll tell you when to stop.
Arthur's office, and it's worse than I thought. Arthur is trying to sabotage Lightmatter. It's not just poisonings. I found the schematics for his experiment on the core. He's not trying to improve it. He's trying to overload it. If he manages to do that, we are all going to die. I am not going to let Arthur ruin our future. I have to get to Virgil. Arthur is after me. Whoever finds this, if it's not too late, tell Virgil that Arthur needs to be stopped.
close attention. It seems that when it comes to you, nothing can ever be simple. That elevator was your quickest way out. But I have an idea, and it involves making this partnership mutually beneficial. You are going to be my assistant. Try to contain yourself. You will be moving deeper into the facility through our research and development department. Before I allow you in, I would like to make something abundantly clear. Be careful with what you touch, and no photographs. I'll tell you more about the plan as I work out the details. Do not make me regret this, and remember to do exactly as I say. So, assistant, this is where we develop our photon connectors. Everything you see here is confidential, expensive, and fragile. Don't treat it like you treat my elevators. Or bridges. A beam of light so magnificent, it almost looks like matter being created before you. Fascinating, isn't it? The connectors suspend photon crystals over electromagnets. As long as they're in line of sight to what I call a mother source, they create a powerful beam of light matter. A beam so powerful that it produces a surplus of energy. Although the connectors are just prototypes for the core, they display the very essence of light matter. Know this, without the technology behind the connectors, photon crystals would be no better than diamonds, boring and devoid of function. The crystals possess great power, but it's my technology that releases and tames that power. Assistant, I think a lot about the future. In these labs, I've spent years testing the prototypes under various conditions, all to ensure the success of the core. You see, although the photon connectors have 100.2% conversion efficiency, I've reached 107% with the core. I achieved critical mass. And Arthur wanted to stop at the prototype. Madness. He was so certain that the laws of physics were unbreakable. That is where we differed. Where he saw laws, I saw suggestions. In that tunnel, we expose the photon connectors to wind, water, and hail. These tests ensure that the core, no matter the weather, will survive. You are no crystal, but you should be able to handle a couple of rounds through it. Assistant, I have expectations. You can do better than that. Abusing yourself to wind, water, and hail will not make you superior to the core, Assistant. Excellent. You have overcome an obstacle and been baptized in the waters of Lightmatter. I can almost imagine the stench of journalist fading away. The core. No matter how many times we see it, it leaves us in awe, doesn't it, Assistant? This is everything Lightmatter Technologies has built towards. Every power cell, every connector, all of them combine to create this. By using photon power cells to collect the energy from a large-scale beam of light matter, I built a perpetual motion machine. Facts are facts. The energy is clean, infinite, and is about to usher in the next scientific revolution. Others will stand on my shoulders and see further than they have ever before. That will be my legacy. We will fix the side effects. Let us ignore the quakes for now. Imagine at the center of a city, a core, providing sustainable and renewable energy to millions. That is the future we are striving for. probably have your own ideas about the applications of Lightmatter, but there's no need to write them down. We have given a small-scale prototype to a test town of 500 inhabitants. For the first time, these townspeople have access to a steady energy source. They are now thriving. Do you know what inspires absolute loyalty, Assistant? Quality of life. I provide it to my townspeople, and they build statues of me. Large statues. Assistant, I now have the plan. To get you out, we are shutting down the core. When I left earlier, my path down there was blocked. And since I'm limited by my body, but not my mind, I wasn't able to get around the obstacles. As you have the opposite problem, you'll play a part in this. The core is very delicate, so I'll be up here in my control room managing the shutdown. As my assistant, you'll be the one pulling the lever. When I told James of this plan, he seemed jealous. You might be wondering why there are photon connectors inside an office space. Well, morale was low because of the rampant hair loss, so I implemented a photon fun hour. During their breaks, employees were allowed to play with the connectors. Productivity rose by 12%. James just called me. He's worried that since you've been weightlifting pens all your life, you have too frail a constitution to pull a lever. Let's see if he's right. Assistant, you need to know what will happen after the temporary shutdown. Once the core is off, the quakes and shadow anomalies will subside, allowing you to walk your fragile little head out of here. But more importantly, observing the shutdown will provide me the information I need to fix the side effects permanently. The core will repower, and it will shine eternally. Do you want to hear a secret? Aperture Science has an artificial intelligence prototype. They tested it by having it create the perfect cake recipe. It succeeded, but the first iterations of that recipe used neurotoxin as the primary ingredient. As a human being, I'm worried. This mineral inspection chamber makes me nostalgic. Before I discovered this mountain, Arthur had a mineral collection. He called me over one day to show off a particularly rare example he had found, a photon crystal. I could see the potential immediately. And Arthur thought it was just a rare crystal. I thought he was brain damaged. As I've told you before, all groundbreaking technology has its kinks. Look at the plants around you, Assistant. We planted them yesterday. You see, light matter accelerates photosynthesis and makes them grow at an incredible rate. Imagine applying this technology to cultivation throughout the world. Famine, mass deforestation, floods, all of these relegated to history. Light matter will not only brighten the world, it will give life. You know, assisting me with the core will be the single most important thing you will ever do in your life. Around the world, hundreds of millions of people aren't connected to the power grid. We think ourselves so enlightened, but we are surrounded by a sea of darkness. To bring light, sacrifices must be made by all of us. Assistant, by now you must understand the significance of light matter. So it's about time you learn how Arthur almost destroyed it. 3 months, and a lot of hair ago, Arthur went to the board of directors behind my back. He proved to them that light matter was causing minor side effects. It was humiliating, but I solved the problem by installing the decontaminators. That is when Arthur started poisoning people. Later, that vermin of a man had the nerve to use that as further proof to the board. While we were investigating the matter, one of my employees discovered his plan to overload the core and destroy the entire facility. Luckily, James and I stopped him before it was too late. Arthur paid for what he did, but nothing can redeem betrayal. Let me explain what betrayal is. In the mountain, before this facility, Arthur and I would work together weeks on end to finish the first photon connectors. All those cold, dark nights, and suddenly, breakthrough. A web of light surrounded us. It was mesmerizing. Betrayal is knowing that moment meant nothing to him. Getting close to the core, but the quakes are getting... Hold on. Yes, James? James, you have brawn, not brains. My new assistant and I have the situation under control. Stay at the outpost. Keep everyone safe. Goodbye. You know, assistant, I'm starting to enjoy your company and the qualities you possess. You are persistent, replaceable, and silent. You need to handle bridges with more finesse, assistant. At least you still have your legs. Let's see. Yes. You are moving into my newer, more experimental labs. Communication systems and cameras are non-existent. Now, that area is dangerous, so stick to the exit signs. We're in this together. See you soon.
Ellen here. I'm having these intense splitting headaches. They only seem to go away when I stare directly into light. And I'm not the only one. We're all slowly turning into moths, staring at lamps for hours on end. Not only that, people are still losing hair and now fingernails. It doesn't make any sense. It's been weeks since Virgil and James handled Arthur. And still things are getting worse. I don't care what Virgil says. The decontaminators are clearly not working. And just handing us wigs isn't helping. I need to figure out exactly what Arthur was doing. And why. Ellen here. Virgil has tightened the security into Arthur's office, but I managed to get in. I'm having a closer look at his overload schematics, and his experiment could really multiply the core's output by several magnitudes. Makes sense why Virgil's still tinkering with it. Greedy old man. What else is in here? Arthur had a theory. Based on... Oh, he built a prototype of his experiment on the core. It says something about... shadows. Strange. Let me see. Multiple mother sources. The crystals are overcharged. And within a certain radius... equilibrium. The results just say stopped. What stopped? My God. Cellular degradation stopped. He found a solution. Someone's here. Machine. It's the shadows. The crystals draw energy from them. They draw energy from us. Virgil knew, and he did nothing. If he activates the core, shadows will not only decay us, they will devour us. Arthur, this doesn't change what he did, but I need to finish his work.
Assistant, get out of there. That's Arthur's... Oh, never mind. It's not safe. Hold on. I'll open the nearest exit door for you. Do not touch anything. Did you not hear what I said? You're not qualified for that. Do you remember? When I told you about the power of light matter, you are currently quadrupling that power.